Shawn Clement here, Wisdom in Golf, at our wonderful practice facility. We're at the Royal Quebec practice holes at the back of the range. And today we are counting down the top 5 things that you should not do in the golf swing. Obviously, I'm going to supply you with a replacement for what not to do. I'm not going to say don't do this or don't do that, but one of the things that you see often in golf lore, and certain things that are misunderstood or taught a little improperly that cause you a lot of grief. And the 5th one in our countdown from 5 to 1 is resistance. So the last thing you want in the golf swing is resistance. And yes, you know, the last 30 years we've been bombarded with X factor theories and put beach balls between your legs so that you don't move the legs because you have all this, you know, margin of error down there, putting baskets between the legs. So your machine, which functions at 40 million bits of information per second, this is the latest thing in neurology, everybody. So the good Lord didn't put you down here to think about what body parts to use and what not to use. That's not your goal. You're not a puppet. You don't have strings attached. You're already Pinocchio without the strings. So what's the task? What would you like to do? Well, I want to send a golf ball over there. Well, the best way to send a golf ball over there is in the air, not on the ground, especially not after it's rained with thick grass. There's too much friction down here. We want in the air with a nice velocity. Well, what's the best way to send the ball in the air with some nice velocity? Cutting grass. You remember our cutting grass? We have our wonderful grass cutting tool. So you can go get this immediately over at your hardware store. It's called the grass whip, or a sling blade, like they call it in the US. And then you can get our Melhorn, Wisdom in Golf Melhorn grass whip that's got a golf grip on it so that you can do this with a little bit more of the golf flair to it. I would get both personally. So let's say we're cutting grass. Would you put a beach ball between your legs and coil back to coil the upper body against the lower body? And by the way, have a look at the human spine right here. I've got some beautiful pictures for you of Scully, our resident skeleton. And you'll see that the vertebrae are built on top of each other like Lego blocks. And they got special locking mechanisms that prevent them from twisting, called facet joints. And that is so that you have a nice, rigid, solid structure to walk around in, so that you don't walk around like Quasimodo. So for you to resist with the lower body and coil upper body against lower body, you are taking that spine and wringing it out like a sponge, and you are destroying a lot of the tissue that is between the facet joints for absolutely nothing. It's not up to us to, you know, so we just need to respect how the machine is working, right? How it's built. So when I take this back, notice how I'm going to allow my body to turn. And then when I take it through, cutting grass. So if I just cut grass in both directions, notice it's got 2 blades. I'm cutting grass backwards, I'm cutting grass throughwards. Now, here's how the machine works. It's got a built-in kinetic sequence, kinetic chain, that is very much a self-preserving mechanism that allowed us to hunt and gather for 2.5 to 3 million years. We still do it today. So if I had a stone that I wanted to skip on water in that direction, so I asked my students, I said, okay, what went first? And they go, I don't know. Well, where'd you release the stone? Somewhere around here. Where was your body facing? Over here. Where's your weight? Over on the front foot. When did it get there? I don't know, about here. And they always get that one wrong. It got there first, so that the brain can use the ground to get your body out of the way. Why? Because your shoulders only have 20 degrees of range. So if you don't turn the body out of the way and you throw, well, I got a bruise on my shoulder and I just wrecked my other shoulder. That's not going to work out too well. So the brain has to go get the ground, use the ground to get your body out of the way. So the pelvis and rib cage, they work together. You look at a boxer snapping a punch, pelvis and rib cage moving together. Baseball pitcher, go ahead. I dare you to see any sport or discipline that goes against that. Golf's the only one. That came out of a theory based on an assumption as to how the human body worked, and that's where we went wrong. So the 20 degrees of shoulders, they got to get around the body. Well, you can't coil this against that, because then you're messing with your vertebrae and you're not going to last too long. So you got to get out of the way. So here's what happens. If I want to cut grass in that direction from over here, well, my brain's going to go get the ground, use the ground to get my body out of the way so I can cut grass that way. Then it's going to use the ground to get my body out of the way so I can cut grass that way. Dual kinetic chain, that's what a golf swing is. So if I'm cutting grass in both directions as I'm walking, I'm just doing my rows of grass here. Here we go. See how gorgeous that cut is? Didn't break ground, and I'm just shaving the top of the grass beautifully. So if I have a dandelion here, and I cut through the stem of the dandelion, notice how the bulb of the dandelion stays there? Well, I got another grass cutting tool called the 7-iron. I see the stem of the dandelion. My eyes are on the little sliver of grass between the leading edge of the club and the ball. I'm not trying to hit that spot. I see me cutting through this dandelion stem in that direction over there where I want the ball to go. So I'm cutting grass. Cut grass, cut grass. So my brain sees where that club is passing, and it knows exactly how to step forward. There we go. I'm just cutting my rows. Ooh, did you hear that sound? Nutted. Very, very solid impact with the ball, and all I was doing is cutting grass. Now, when my mind is on cutting grass, and I'm using, because I'm a veteran grass cutter, right? I'm a seasoned veteran in cutting grass, I am allowing my body to get out of the way. I'm not going to yank, shove, yank, shove, yank, shove. I won't last 5 minutes. That's for the green guy. The guy who's just, you know, coming off the boat and you give him a grass whip and, hey man, let's go cut some grass. He's going to try to impress everybody and he's going to go back and through and won't last 5 minutes. Whereas if you're allowing the weight of your arm and grass unit, so if I had a sword in my hands, cut through, notice how my body clears out of the way? Well, that has to happen in the backswing too. Cut through, cut through. So don't resist. It's not your job to tell the body what to do. It's your job to choose what you want. Well, I want to put that ball in the green over there. Okay. I'm going to choose an intermediate point that's going to get me there, right there, and I'm going to fade it against this little crosswind. So I'm going to play that ball just a hair forward to center. And now I'm looking for a nice zippy cut of grass through that stem in that direction. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm going to use the weight of that arm club unit to do that. So guess what's going to happen? The brain's going to go get the ground. It's going to use the ground to heave that arm club unit into the backswing, and then we're going to allow the weight of that arm club unit to cut through the grass into that direction. So, gather, cut through. Perfect. So I just stayed with my task, which is cutting the grass, and that sucker just split the green in two, right in the center of the green, perfect contact. So I'm cutting grass along the surface of the ground. Now, here's where resistance comes in a little bit, and I see this in so many of you, and here's a real important tidbit that's going to help you with your consistency. And I want you to learn through the trials and tribulations of Jordan Spieth. He's got his short game in order right now, but his long game is still struggling, self-admittedly by himself. And here's what I see And this is what I've been talking about all along when he missed the cut at the Sony. So you'll see him from behind. I have a nice picture from behind here. So what happens is in the backswing, he resists. He's one of the last ones in the line when he, at age 13, they were still talking a lot of resistance back then. So we're resisting in the lower body. So what happens, see what happens when I'm trying to resist with the lower body? Many of you are going to stick that left knee outwards. So when that left knee sticks out, it sucks the center of gravity forward. So you'll see Jordan, he sets up beautifully with a nice head tilt, and then in the backswing resists, and that pulls his center forward, and now in the downswing, he loses the tilt, and he's way out in front of the ball. And that's why you see him blocking shots and snap hooking shots, because now that I'm in front of the ball, and this is so easy to understand. Watch this. I'm planting a tree in front of us, and I got an axe in my hands. I'm going to take the axe to the side of the tree right here. So notice where my head is. I'm not going to park the tree here. Now I have to reach back. I'm not going to park the tree over there. I got to reach forward. If I park the tree right there, there we go. Now I'm going to heave. So notice how as I'm heaving this heavy axe, my body clears out of the way. If I heave an axe and resist with the lower body, the axe is going to whack me in the neck, and that's it. So heave, get out of the way. See that? Now I want the axe to fall to the side of the tree. I'm not going to do this. Can't reach the tree. I'm not going to do this. Now I'm shaving bark down the trunk of the tree into the ground. That does not fit. So what does fit is me chopping that way. So I heave out of the way and I let the axe fall through the tree. So in order to do that, the brain's going to go get the ground, use the ground to get the body out of the way, and there I can go through the tree in that direction. So when Jordan resists in the backswing, that left knee moves forward. See what happens? Now he's in front of the tree. So the low point of the swing is now moved forward. So he has to reach back to not miss. If he doesn't reach back, he hits those deep chunky divots and blocks to the right. And then if he's able to reach back on time, it's a pull hook. So he's in a reaction mode. He has to manipulate to save the ship. Whereas if he stays with his target, then the body will stay centered, the head will stay back, and he'll be able to anchor that release in the direction of his target. And there's where you see some of that little extra elbow bend. When he gets out in front, he's got to do that so that he doesn't go too deep, because now the angle of attack has changed. If you don't change the angle of attack, then you have full access to the target and you get beautiful extension all the way through the shot. So, this is something that Sean Foley changed his tune on, where instead of resisting in the lower body, he says, okay, our guys are getting hurt, so we got to move the rotation from the lumbar spine up to the thoracic spine. And then for about 5 years, you had guys coiling through thoracic spine. And many of my doctor students, many of my orthopedic surgeons were saying, man, I don't know about that one. I think that's really dangerous. And I think you're going to see a lot of separated ribs. And there it came. Brant Snedeker, Mike Weir, they all started getting rib injuries. Rory McIlroy had a rib injury in his upper rib cage right next to a little hairline fracture. It took him out of golf for a long time, and he had to deal with that pain for a long time. What the hell for? Allow those hips to turn in the backswing. Your body knows what to do and when to do it. So if I had that sledgehammer again, and I was just swinging the sledgehammer back and forward, I'm just reacting to the weight of the sledgehammer. So notice how my brain understands we got a heavy 6-pound sledgehammer coming down. If I don't get out of the way, I'm going to get hurt. So it goes to the ground, uses the ground to get my body out of the way. Goes to the ground, uses the ground to get my body out of the way. So I'm reacting to the weight of my sledgehammer. And therefore, same thing. I'm just reacting to the weight of my arm club unit. So if you use weight to perform your task, your body will know exactly what to do. All right? So let's start with removing that resistance in the backswing. And one of the drills I want you to look at is the feet together drill. So you notice the feet together drill, you glue the feet together, knees together. When the weight of the arms goes into the backswing, something has to counterbalance you in the opposite direction so you don't fall down. So if you don't, see what happens? If you do, piece of cake. So then on the way down, as the arms fall, the butt returns and counterbalances your follow through towards the target. This right here with the knees together, no Elvis Presley's, you see, because if you do this, if you do that feet together, it's not gonna go very well. So both femurs rotate together, and you'll notice now I can stay in wonderful balance in both directions. And if my center stays supported, so notice both knees rotate together, my center of gravity is supported. That left knee pokes forward, see how I'm dipping down, and now I'm really in a compromised position here. I'm out of balance. So we gather, and you hit some shots that way. Hear that sound? Absolutely nutted right in the center of the green. Very, very easy to do, and you'll see, it's like, wow, I'm hitting the ball almost as far feet together as I do feet apart, and you'll notice that your contact and direction is going to significantly improve when your feet are together because your center can't go anywhere. If you sway, you fall down. If your knees separate, you fall forward. If everything stays in place while you cut grass, and all you got to do is just cut grass in both directions, cut grass, then you're on plane, then you're centered, and everything you need is right there. So let's start with that. Enjoy that drill, and we'll see you next week.